Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Thrilled today to have Seth Erickson, senior shooting guard with Oregon Tech Hustlin' Owls, and shoot he did. Erickson played all 4 years at Oregon Tech. He scored more than 1,300 points, shot over 44% from the three over his 4-year career. One of the best free throw shooters in the country. He shot 88% from the line in his 4-year career, and he did not miss a free throw during his senior season. Seth has been tabbed by many, myself included, as the most efficient offensive player ever to wear a Hustlin' Owl uniform. Welcome, Seth. I'm glad you came on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Really can't talk about Seth Erickson and your career without going back to that freshman year, because Coach Parnell had just replaced Danny Miles. It was a legendary program, coaching change. Nobody knew what was nobody knew what was coming. The program had faltered a bit. Hadn't been to the tournament in 3 years, which is a lifetime at Oregon Tech. You came in with Tyler Heeb and Mitchell Fink. What goals did Coach Parnell have for you guys when you first came in? What were you expecting to have happen?
I think for us three guys that just graduated this year, and including Scotty Burge and Garrett Albright as well, we just kind of knew what our goals were. We didn't really have a meeting where we sat down and said, we're going to go and play for a national championship and we're going to win a conference title and all that. I think it was just the guys that Coach Parnell recruited. We really wanted to be successful at Tech. And so I think that, over the time that we were there, we just immediately got to work starting our freshman year and started to make an impact right away. It's just the quality of guys that Parnell recruits, including my time there, recruiting guys like Matt Van Tassel and Kyson Faust and Kellen Gehrig, and just guys like that, really going to keep the program rolling.
How aware were you guys coming in that the program had been down for a couple of years, and I know Coach Parnell felt pretty strongly about bringing it back to where it had been?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially throughout our freshman year, it was mentioned a lot how we wanted to get the program back to where it was, and I don't think a lot of us. I think we knew sort of the history of Oregon Tech, but the guys that were there hadn't really seen that success. I came in my redshirt season, and we didn't have a bad year in Coach Miles' last year, and you could see that, obviously he's a very successful coach and really good at what he does. There's just something missing there in that last season, and Parnell really wanted to bring that culture back.
So then in your freshman year, it was a little bit up and down. I know it was very disappointing you lost those 2 conference games. Your first 2 conference games of your career, you lost at Corbin and then at Northwest Christian. You were headed back to Klamath to continue conference play. The naysayers, I remember the naysayers were really starting to come out. And that next weekend, a lot of fans came dressed as empty seats. But you were able to sweep that weekend, and you had a 2 overtime thriller against Northwest. Do you remember anything about that game?
A lot of my freshman year, I was sort of a role player, which is I think that's the hardest thing to do in basketball, is really step back in your role and, do what you do best and bring what you can to the team and what the coach believes you can do. And I don't really remember much about a lot of those games from my freshman year, but I clearly remember that Northwest game, and I just remember being super proud of Mitch, and I could see that he was going to be, a really good player in our program for all 4 years. Obviously, he hit the game. I think he hit the shot to either take it into overtime or double overtime, and then he also hit the game winner that game. And I remember him making that shot and trying to grab him and bring him to the floor, have a little dog pile, and he kind of pushed me off, and I was the only one on the ground. But I don't really have too many memories of the actual game, but I do remember that shot, and that was definitely a special moment.
Well, that game really propelled that team. You guys won 14 of the next 15, and then you went on your first College of Idaho and Eastern Oregon road trip. Those can be pretty brutal. You lost at College Idaho on Friday.
Yep.
And then you and I talked a little bit about this before we started, but you went to Eastern Oregon on Saturday. You were up by, you were playing really well. You were up by, I think, 12 at halftime. And then they had Kentrell Washington and Brian McGriff. Do you remember anything about the second half of that game?
Again, I don't really remember too much about that game. I do remember that being Eastern senior night, and I remember them being a really tough team. I think we beat them pretty good at home that year. But, yeah, they're a really good team. And, yeah, just a tough, experienced team. It was hard to beat at home.
You guys had been on a really big roll, and you and Ty and Mitch were getting a lot of press. And then that night when Eastern started their comeback in the second half, I remember looking at you and Ty and Mitch on the floor, and I remember thinking, well, yeah, they really are freshmen. It was that moment where kind of got baptized into the terrors of Cascade Conference play.
Yeah, I think we were really lucky with the senior class we had that year. You know, we had Brian Beard, Joel, Tyler Van Kirk, Brandon Halter. You know, we had a bunch of really good guys, Chris Faust included. And I think that that was definitely a freshman moment, that game. But we were lucky to have leadership like that on our team that season, and they're a big reason why Oregon Tech basketball is where it's at right now. They helped get the program back to where it is too.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you, Seth. Those 5 seniors, the year you were a freshman, you guys had a very good year. You regrouped from that bad weekend. You got all the way to the conference tournament championship, but that's the night Chris Martin hit 10 3-pointers.
Yeah, that was definitely rough. I remember I played quite a bit that game. I still remember being on the bench and watching him hit some of those threes and just in awe. I thought we go to College of Idaho and we beat them in the semifinals in the tournament that year, and we felt like we were going to the national tournament, which we were excited about, but we really wanted to win that conference title, and we were at home, and they just named the trophy after Coach Miles, and we felt like it was kind of like destiny to win that game, and for a guy like Chris Martin to come in and hit that many threes in the second half, and it just destroyed us. But overall that year was a really good season, and nothing can really take that away. But I mean, that game, you definitely want to have that one back.
Yeah, well, he definitely put on a show. So then in your sophomore year, you mentioned those 5 seniors. The 5 seniors graduated, and now in your sophomore year, it was definitely you, Mitch, and Ty were spearheading the scoring. That season was, for whatever reason, it was one of the worst 3-point shooting years I remember with Oregon Tech. But I think, and I'd like your opinion, because I thought that the golden or the silver lining there was that you guys really learned how to win with defense, because you still had a very good year your sophomore year, but you really won games by defending people.
Right. And really, I remember practices during our sophomore year, a major focus was defense. If we can't put the ball in the hoop, we've got to keep the other team from doing that. So that was definitely a big focus. I think a big reason why we didn't shoot as well that season is just experience. Me, Mitch, and Ty, we played quite a bit our freshman year and definitely our sophomore year, but still didn't have a lot of experience under our belt. And I think our average team age that year, I think we were 19.3 years. And when we made the tournament, we were the youngest team there. So I think that just kind of adds to that also.
Toward the end of that season, you had a chance to go back to College Idaho and Eastern. And do you remember what you guys did on that trip your sophomore year?
I know we at least won at College of Idaho. I remember that game.
You swept that weekend.
Yeah, we did sweep. Yeah, that's what I figured. I didn't want to say it to make sure, but yeah, we definitely swept.
I remember the game at Eastern. Was that the night Andrew Weber, I think he went 10 for 10, if I remember right.
Yeah, he had a really good game. I think he had career high in points that game. I'm not sure about rebounds, but yeah, I remember Weber having a big game.
But it was really quite a turnaround from the year before, and then watching kind of the meltdown to see you guys perform at that level. And that Eastern game is always one of my funnest trips, because it's loud in there, and I'll say hostile. I don't want to say bad things about them because they're just great fans, but they definitely let you know that you're in the minority there. I enjoy that game quite a bit.
A big focus every time we go on that trip. I think it's pretty common knowledge in the CCC. Obviously our trip, Oregon Tech and Southern's pretty tough, but the College of Idaho and Eastern road trip is probably the hardest in the conference. And we always say if we could just split that road trip, we'd be in good shape. And obviously getting swept the year before wasn't ideal, and sweeping that year was just it was crazy, and that's really rare.
Yeah, it is, because look at how successful in your 4-year career, how successful Oregon Tech was in those 4 years. Got to the national championship game, won the Cascade Conference. You made the tournament every year. In that trip, you went 3-5.
Right.
So, I mean, even great teams really struggle with that trip.
Yeah, and I mean 3-5. I think that's pretty good playing over there. I mean, obviously you'd like to be at least 500 on any road trip, but yeah, those are two really tough places to play. And I honestly don't even know which one's harder, Eastern or College of Idaho. College of Idaho's obviously got that bigger gym and they pack the crowd, but that Eastern gym can get really loud.
They kind of bring it to another level there at Eastern some nights. So then that brings us the junior season. There was no messing around. You guys had been together for a while, and in your junior season, you won the Cascade Conference. Just a fantastic year. And you had that dramatic game with College of Idaho, last game of the season, winner take all. Talk about that game.
Yeah. Well, I remember we played Eastern the night before in the second to last game of conference that year. And I remember we were pretty excited that we won that game. You know, we're hooting and hollering, and all of a sudden Coach comes down and says that Southern beat College of Idaho, which of course gave us the chance to win the outright championship. And then all of a sudden we were so excited. And I think that's probably the most excited we've been for a Southern win in my career. But no, it was really fun to set up that game. But yeah, obviously knowing that we were playing for an outright championship against College of Idaho was a really big motivator.
Yeah, that game, you had to pack Danny Miles' court, you know, all the marbles. Seth, with 12 minutes to go, it was a tight game. You had a 20-second sequence that I'll never forget. You hit a huge three-pointer, brought the crowd to their feet, and then I think it was on a pick and roll. Connor DeSagne broke wide open for an apparent layup, and you came up and blocked the shot. It just propelled the crowd, changed the whole momentum of the game. Do you remember that sequence?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember it well.
Did a good job on Peyton. Erickson for three. Yes! Finally!
We needed that.
41.
We needed that so bad.
Erickson now with 10. Pinckney gives the ball to DeSagne. DeSagne, Kruner will be in next dead ball. Down to Pinckney. Oh, and that block by Erickson out of bounds. DeSagne, Erickson right over the top of him.
Yeah, I remember when I shot that three, just kind of holding my release, and a lot of times when I shoot, I just have a feel of what's going to happen. I knew that ball was going to go in, but I just had to see it go through. Just kind of stood there for a second and lived in that moment. And then, of course, got back on defense. And really what our fans love to see at Oregon Tech is those hustle plays and that block. You know, of course, they got the possession back since the ball went out of bounds, but, you know, I think that really helped us, you know, get our guys motivated and get the crowd into the game and helped us, you know, get that run at the end of the game to win.
Yeah, it really it just changed the whole chemistry or in the gymnasium, that play. Yeah. And I felt like you guys had momentum for the rest of the game after that. Now, College Idaho did make a heck of a run toward the end of the game when do you remember when Pinckney got that steal toward the end, and I think he made it a 2 or 3 point game after you guys had won up, I think, by 10.
I remember that well. I remember being you know, pretty upset at that point. It's one of those games where you just kind of have a feeling that your team's going to win. You know, you can just tell the way the momentum's going. You could tell if Mitch is making shots off the back of the rim that probably shouldn't go in and drop, you probably have a pretty good chance of winning the game. But, yeah, at that point, I mean, Pinckney's a great defender. He's a great player. Yeah, I remember he made that play, and that was the one moment in the game where I was like, all right, maybe this isn't all ours yet.
Yeah, the air kind of came out of Danny Miles' court at that moment. But, you know, you guys hung on to win. After that, you fell in the conference tournament, and then you went back to Sioux Falls. You had a little extra time to get ready. After you dropped that game to Northwest, what do you remember about that period between losing that game and heading back to Sioux Falls?
Well, I originally remember, you know, losing that Northwest game and just looking ahead. I mean, we had 2 weeks to prepare for Sioux Falls, which at first it was kind of rough because we weren't going to be playing 1 or 2 more games and, you know, preparing for more conference teams. But on the other hand, we were able to practice and, you know, really hone our skills. And during that couple weeks, our guys were getting in the gym a lot. and I think that helped with our run that we made at Nationals. And, looking back, it probably would have been nice to win at least one of those conference tournament games, but it also really helped us become a better team before making our national tournament run.
What do you remember about that run that year? What things pop in your head?
Yeah, I just remember our guys just having a lot of fun. It's easy to say, when you're winning and playing well, but our first game, we never won in the first round before that. We lost to St. Francis my freshman year, and we lost to Briarcliff my sophomore year. And I kind of remember going into it, of course, I wanted to win a national championship, but I really wanted to win that first round game. I didn't want to go 0-3. So I just remember having a really good first half as a team against them, and we were stoked after how we played in the first half, and we knew that if we just kept it up, we would come out with the win. Obviously, I remember being down to Kokomo and thinking we were out for the count in that game for a little bit, and then having a really good second half run. I think our Oregon Tech basketball just kind of, ran them off the floor a little bit, and they came out and they played really well in the first round this year, and I thought they could have made, a decent run in the tournament. Of course, I remember beating Wesleyan. I didn't really play much that game since I fouled out, but I remember Mitch having a great game. I remember Kyson and Kellen stepping up as well. Really, everyone played well in the tournament. And then, of course, beating College of Idaho again in the semifinals is a game that I'll never forget. As you know, I'll never forget the Spring Arbor game as well. So there's a lot of memories from that national tournament run, and definitely every game that we played, I don't think I'll ever forget.
I do got to ask you, what was the fondest win out of that group, that run? Because there was a couple of big wins there.
Yeah, I think the Indiana Wesleyan was our biggest team win. I know that that was going to be a really good matchup, and we were playing the number one team in the country. We didn't really feel like we were extremely outmatched. We knew they were a really good team, and we prepared accordingly. But I think that was a really big win for us, and that's what we were most excited about.
So this season, Seth, all the dominoes were in place. For a number one seed, tournament. Everybody was back. You were ranked number one, number two in the nation. And then Kellen Gehrig breaks his foot. And then the conference starts. Kyson gets hurt. And then the injuries just keep going. And starter you and can you just talk about what that period was like?
I remember before the season, our common goal, we saw our national runner-up banner up at Danny Miles Court. And I remember looking at it, and when we first made the championship game, I thought I'd be, extremely proud of it, which I still am. But I just remember wanting more. I really wanted to win a national championship, and I thought we had all the pieces in place. And first game of the year, Kellen goes out and breaks his foot, and of course we didn't really know what the injury was for a while there, but he ended up sitting the whole year. And then, Kellen just brings a ton of toughness to the team. So that was a big loss. But we still felt like we were the best team in the country, and we ended up being number one in the country there for a while. And then Kyson goes out with a torn labrum. He dislocates his shoulder again. And I remember thinking at that point, this is going to be a tough one to recover from. But, our guys just kept stepping up, and we kept fighting through adversity, and we were still winning games. We weren't number one in the country at that point, but I still felt like we definitely had a chance to win a national championship that year. And then, of course, me and Ty get injured for, I think each of us were out for 8 or 9 games. But yeah, just our team had to step up a lot. It was definitely a different year than what we all imagined in the off season. But yeah, I think we were one of the toughest teams going into the tournament just because of all the injuries we've had to battle through.
Yeah. Did you feel that did the personality of the team change during that injury period?
Yeah. I think it had to. We had a bunch of guys once me and Ty went out, that's basically 4 wings that you just lost. And we had at least 3 guys playing 35 plus minutes. I know Scotty, Harrison, and Mitch all had to play 38 or more. And it was kind of funny because it was the first time in my career really that we had an excess of big men. We have in practice, we have a little first team, second team, and that's kind of how we practice. And our second team was we had 4 guys over 6'8". It was just kind of weird, but definitely a different, outlook during that part of the year. But yeah, it was interesting.
You mentioned a couple of them and the increased minutes, but just talk about how your teammates stepped up during that period.
I remember getting injured and kind of, thinking oh, this is not good for the team. But, I always had confidence in them, and I knew that they're going to come out and, make me proud and have a good run. And, I remember, getting injured and kind of, thinking I There's a little time period where I thought I'd be out for the season, so that was tough for me. But yeah, I love watching our guys play, and we had a really good, stretch of games from when me and Ty went out. I think they played really well, and I think it just made our team better. Harrison really had to step up during that time. We needed more scoring from him. We needed him to step up on defense, and he did that. And he's always done that in his career. He's always stepped up, at key moments. And Scotty Burge, me and him are pretty close. We've been roommates for the last couple of years. But I don't think he's ever had a role, that big as he had on this year's team. He didn't really play too much last year. He really had to step up, especially defensively. He always does the little things for us. He always passes up good shots for great shots, and he's one of the best teammates he'll have out there. And then obviously Mitch, there's not really much you can say about him. He always steps up when the moment's big, and he did that when me and Ty went down. And obviously Garrett Albright, I think as the season went on, he really improved his game, and he's going to be a key player for them next season. And everyone coming off the bench just did their job and played their role, and when their role increased, they really stepped up and helped us be as successful as we were this year.
And then Matt Van Tassel, he was able to take on a lot of the scoring load too that he had lost with you and Ty.
Yeah, and the thing about Matt is he's going to be a stud in the next couple of years. I think he's really developing in his mentality, in that when he really gets into that mode where you're okay, like that's the Matt Van Tassel that I know. He's really good and really hard to stop. I definitely don't like guarding him in practice, when he's in that mode. But he definitely stepped up at the end of the year, and he's going to be a really good player for the next season too.
So eventually, you and Tyler came back. You started putting together a good string of wins. You got into the playoffs. In the second round, you headed over to Southern Oregon Tech arch rival, 60 miles from campus. The gym is packed, half Oregon Tech, half Southern Oregon. They get ready to start the game. The place is just rocking with the two crowds kind of screaming back and forth. What the heck did that feel like?
Yeah, that was awesome. I remember, standing at the free throw line. I was next to Tez Allen. I was like, has your crowd ever been like this? Because, I don't even know if I've seen a lot of crowds like that at Danny Miles Court. There's definitely been crowds like that, but I'd never seen it at Southern. He was like, yeah, this is crazy. And I just kind of remember looking around the gym and thinking, like, this is something special we're a part of. And, building up to that game, I sat the game at home, when we beat them. But when we played them at their place the first time, we had to stay the night over in Ashland just because of some weather and traffic issues that we had on the way over there the first time. And then obviously we lost on a controversial call, which, I think you can see both ways of it. I've watched the play a ton since then, and it's kind of, I can see if it's a foul and I can see if it's not a foul, and it's just something that'll always kind of go down in my mind as a controversial finish to a game. But I think we had a lot of fire going to that game. We always do against Southern Oregon, but, they're a great team. We have a lot of respect for them, and I think we just really wanted to go and beat our rival one more time. And it was something special for me, Mitch, Ty, and Coach Parnell, because it would be our 100th win, and we kind of knew that going into it. That wasn't really our main focus and reason for winning that game, but that was a special game and a special moment for us after the game.
You win that game. It was a huge win. It set up a conference championship game with the number one team in the nation at College of Idaho. You had to travel, what is a 9-hour, 8-hour bus ride, get in the bus, go to college, go to Caldwell, played a one-possession game. Boy, talk about that game. It was packed.
Yeah, I remember going into that game and seeing that, we were number 8 in the country or whatever we were, and College of Idaho was number 1. And I thought we were pretty evenly matched. I thought we were a better offensive team, and I thought they were a better defensive team than us. I think, obviously they beat us that game, and I think that they were the best team in the country this year, and well-deserved for them. But I definitely thought going into that game that we could provide some challenges for them, and I thought we could come out with the win. And I don't remember too much about that game. I wish I did, just because it was the last, my last collegiate game. But I just remember kind of being in the moment. It's a conference championship game. There's a lot of adrenaline flowing, and I just remember being a good, hard-fought battle. No team, neither side really backed down, and just didn't go in our favor at the end there.
It was a heck of a game, and it started out, it looked like they were going to run away from you. Coach Parnell called an early timeout. I'm not sure he was real thrilled with the start, and but it really turned into a back and forth affair after that.
Right, and we've always struggled with the starts of games this season. That was kind of our downfall. But yeah, we fought back in that game, and I think we had a pretty good run there at the end of the first half, and a decent run there in the second half to make it close. But yeah, they're just really tough defensively, really hard to score on.
So Seth, who's the toughest defender in the conference that you had to play against? Who's the toughest guy for you to score on?
It's hard to name exactly one, but if I had to name one, I'd probably name Nate Bernil from College of Idaho. He had to guard me in both the games that I played against them this year, and he's just a tough guy to score on. He just kind of, I think he knows his scout and his film really well, and he just knows where you're going to be at. Obviously, Pickney's probably the best defender on that team just because he's so quick, but with Bernil's length and athleticism, he's just a tough defender.
And you touched on this a little bit, but where in the Cascade Conference toughest place to play?
Well, I think for us, we really struggled on that Corbin and Northwest Christian trip. I would say that Corbin's probably our toughest place to play as a team. But as far as environment, I'd have to say College of Idaho. They always pack the gym. They've probably got the biggest gym in the conference, and they always have good crowds, and it's tough to play in front of. As a competitor, you go into that game and you see the opposing crowd, and it kind of motivates you a little bit, but still tough to play in front of.
So Seth, what has it meant to you to be part of Oregon Tech basketball?
Oh, it's meant a lot. I think coming into Oregon Tech, I knew the history. I didn't really know too much about the culture, but it was pretty quick to me, how much our fans care about our team and how much our coaching staff really cares about our success and really, cares about our team members as well. And that's what I'll take most from my experience at Oregon Tech is just how good the culture is there. I mean, I definitely see myself going to watch games in the future and definitely watching them play up in Portland and Salem areas, and that's what I'll take most from it. I think, there's not a ton of guys that can graduate from a school and, really be proud of what they've done and really be proud of the culture that they were a part of and can continue to come back to that.
So this season you go back to Sioux Falls, ranked 7th in the nation at that point, a number 2 seed. How confident were you guys heading back to Sioux Falls?
We were extremely confident. We just lost the number 1 team in the country, who we felt was the number 1 team in the country. A really close battle, and I think we were ready to make another run like last season. Yeah, we knew we were super tough. We knew that we got a lot better when our guys went down with injury and other guys stepped up, and yeah, we were really confident going into the tournament.
So tell me what it was like that moment you found out there's no more basketball.
Well, I originally saw the article by the NAIA, and I kind of didn't really believe it at first, even though it was posted by them. I was still waiting on a text or a call from Coach Parnell to see what was actually going on. I was just kind of in shock. But yeah, all of our guys we're all on the same floor in our hotel, so we all just walked out and we're kind of talking about how crazy it was. I don't think we really truly understood the seriousness of what's going on in our country and around the world right now. But yeah, we were just really upset, especially with how confident we were coming into it. There's not really much you can do when there's a health pandemic going around the world. There's bigger issues out there than what happened to our guys this season, what happened to the rest of our sports world. But yeah, it was obviously hard to hear, and still is kind of hard to think about. Has
it really sunk in?
I mean, yeah, it has. I've come back home, and obviously you miss basketball, and there's not even any gyms open, so it's just tough in that regard to just have basketball completely taken from your life. But yeah, I think it's sunken in that way, but it still feels like come September I should be going back to Klamath for some Navy SEAL training and stuff like that, but obviously that's not going to be happening.
So what's next for you? Are you graduated? You set to graduate? What'd you major in?
Yeah, I graduated in biology health science, which is a pre-med degree, just last week. So I finished up in winter term. Originally I was going to go into some physical therapy, but I did some shadowing, and that's kind of not really the route I want to take. But I am looking to play professionally right now, potentially overseas. But obviously with everything going on, it's been kind of tough to see what's going on with that situation. But it's kind of my temporary plan right now.
Well, certainly wish you luck with that. Really enjoyed watching you all those years at Oregon Tech. And when Oregon Tech is playing in the Valley, you better be there.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You better be there.
Will.
I'll be looking for you.
All right.
Hey Seth, thanks a lot. Appreciate you taking the time. Stay safe. Keep your family safe, and thanks for being on.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for having me.